so corny.
You. Yeah. Welcome back to our latest induction or episode of Corny Dad's podcast. I'm CJ Snuggy Harris.
I am Yogi Dead Namaste.
And I'm Oz. Catch me on TikTok at Corny-OJC. Yeah!
Man with many hats, but no hat on today. Some people call me Chico. These guys call me Ace, but my kids call me Papa. Back at it, y'all.
Yo, I love the energy,
Yo,
guys.
the energy
Like,
is back. I had a couple apples.
Word.
Yo, facts.
Listen, I had a honey bun, so I'm up right now. I'm up.
That may be a double entendre for you with the honey bun, man.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of honey buns.
Hold up.
Nah. No, we don't do that.
Yo.
It's crazy.
Oh, that was different.
It's definitely a different energy now.
Yeah, for sure. How you guys feeling?
I feel great, man. I feel good, man.
Feel good.
Charged.
I
up.
feel good.
I'm supercharged.
You wouldn't understand.
Yo, shout out to Marv, man.
Yo,
We appreciate you, man.
Marvelous, man. Don't call it. His name changed, man.
I'm not calling that real name.
What call him Marvelous for?
His name's
Hey,
Marv.
Marvin.
Yo, Marvelous, man. You my guy.
I'm not calling him Marvelous.
I'm gonna call him Marvelous.
Yo, y'all turn. So good.
Yo, the mangoes turned you up, boy.
Yeah, man.
Charge
Shout
your
out to
ass up.
Mexico.
Shout out to Mexico.
That's where they came from.
It's the Mexican one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then, man, you raised a good question, man. You want to ask it to us?
Yeah, absolutely, right? So today we're going to be talking about friendships, right? And how they change over time. And the question today, fellas, is how did or does fatherhood change your perspective on how you choose your circle of friends or circle of influence?
That's a good question.
That's a good one.
That is.
I think it's one of those things that you learn as you go.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are, it comes back, we always talk about this, identity, like who you are. Like you identify with people, or you gravitate towards people that are in similar spaces,
Yep.
or you have a similar direction that you're headed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that in regards to friendship is key. Having that identity and having that understanding of goals and where you headed and where you see yourself. In regards to my sons have one uncle by blood, but they have 7 or 8 in regards to my friendship. And if my sons call you uncle, then you know it's for real. Like we locked in, we had it in that direction, and we locked in for life.
So what helped you make those decisions? Like, what characteristics are you looking for?
I don't think
And
it's so much.
and have they changed? Did your circle of friends change pre-children to post?
Oh, for sure. My life changed. I changed.
Okay.
So when I shifted and I made the shift, some people don't have access to me.
When you say you made the shift?
I made multiple shifts. But when I had my sons, I didn't quite make a shift when I had Caden.
Mm-hmm.
I really can't say that I made a shift when I had Caden. I definitely made a shift when I had KL, because I needed something different, right? Where I was at, what I experienced with Caden in that first year, I didn't want to experience that again with KL.
Okay.
So I had to make a shift, and the people who I rely on, and still people who I talk to every day, to this day, are still around, and they were present back then, and they helped me kind of make that shift and get me in that direction. Like I literally was in a slump, and because I don't like to use the D word, which is depression, I was in a slump, and my close circle of friends who are still present to this day got me out of that. And it wasn't like they helped me out of it. They just kept talking, speaking life into me to where I changed my own self-talk. And with that when my self-talk changed, it kind of made a disconnect because other people couldn't understand it at that point. Like the friends who I kind of grew apart from, they couldn't understand what I was talking about. So we didn't speak the same language anymore, even though I understood what they were saying, but they didn't understand where I was. So that shift, it was a natural shift, and it happened. We just grew apart.
Oh, that's a. I was going to ask that, like, how does that shift? Because I know I asked the kids, you know, I say, well, how do you, if you're moving in a different direction and people are not speaking your language, how do you move on from that group? You know what I'm saying? So
I think it's a natural course of action. Like it just happens. Like it literally just happens. Like so when I was married, my married friends who are successful at marriage, and I'm gonna put air quotes successful at marriage, I didn't understand where they were because I didn't understand it. I mean, so when they talk like, yo, you got to stick in there, it's like, no, dog, like that's not where I come from. You've seen it growing up. It's different. Yeah. Versus me not seeing it. So I didn't understand it. Yeah. So I, you grow apart. Yeah. So now that I'm in a different space, now I understand and we can have these conversations. Even though I'm not married, but I understand where you are.
A little bit more,
right.
Yeah, you speak that language a little bit more as you grow.
I think it's really about access, right? The amount of access that you allow, your friends or particular friends to have to you, depending on the situation. For me, obviously, being a father now, you tend to gravitate towards more of your friends that have children as well, because they can understand the plight, they can understand the struggle, and they can understand when you say, "Hey, listen, I can, I'm on daddy duty tonight, man. I can't step out." Like we was having a conversation with you last night, then when you were like, "Hey, I got to put the kids, I got to put the kids to sleep tonight, man. I'll jump on at 9:30." As a parent, I understood. Yeah. In comparison to somebody else, it's like, "Come on, man, you're just not gonna understand because we're not wired the same, right? If you don't have children, you're not gonna understand my plight." And that was something I had with certain friends that didn't have children at the time. They'd be like, "Hey man, let's go out here, let's go." I'm like, "Nah, bro, I'm with the kids tonight." You know what I mean? And at one point, at the beginning stages, I used to feel kind of guilty about it, but then after that, I was like, "Listen, man, it's the kids come first, man. It's important that they do that." So I think you just over time. It naturally happens, and it doesn't come from a place of malice. Because I think if someone is truly your friend, and they know you're a parent, and you're not a parent, they should be able to understand if they're really your friend. If they're like, "Oh, come on, man, forget them kids and stuff like that," then it's like I'm sorry.
Oh, he said forget them kids. Oh,
yeah,
like
forget
nah.
this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so, would you say that the friend you saying is about access? So are you saying that you kept the same group of friends that you had pre and then post children? You just gave them limited all different access to your children or to you?
I think as you put on that father hat, you evolve too, right? You evolve them more than a dad, but you evolve as a man as well. So. The same things that you used to like before, do before, you're not doing as much as you do often. So it starts to provide a level of space in between those people. And it's very natural. It doesn't come like, it's not an overnight thing where it's like, oh, we're not kicking it no more. But we're kicking it less frequently, then we're kicking it from time to time, and then it becomes a I see you when I see you type situation. Because we're not in the same situation anymore. I have children, you don't have children. Or you do have children, but you're not as connected with your children as I am with mine. So you also have to think of it from a space where there could be some tension there as well, right? Because you can be a father, but are you a dad? You know what I mean? If you see me with my children all the time and you're not with your children as much as you would want to be, stuff like that could create a sense of tension. You know what I mean? So things like that, it might cause some divisiveness.
Have you ever experienced any of that before? Because I know that some people have friends that have children that aren't like you are as a father to your children. And have you ever experienced that? And if so, how do you deal with something like that? And as a friend to your friend,
it's kind of tricky because it's like. First of all, it has to be on a situation on a situational basis, right? So I think we spoke of it before. Dads that don't have the opportunity to be fathers because whatever's going on with it. You know what I mean? So you have to be clear, cut and concise on how it is, right? You're like, well, they're not having the opportunity to be a dad. in comparison to dudes that are not being that, because they're like, man, whatever, I see them when I see them. I kind of don't encourage that. And that's why I'm happy that the circle of friends and people that I have around me, they're all active parents, they're all active dads. Because you want to keep that, going on. And you want to keep that synergy around you. So I think that's how it's really broken up.
So we got two natural instances.
Yeah.
What about you, As?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, so how does becoming a father or being a dad alter your perception on your circle of friends? Or has it changed?
I think as we evolve, right, just as men, the people that we surround ourselves just automatically changes, right? Because you were my homie in kindergarten doesn't mean that we're kicking it together in college, right? So I think that as we evolve, the people around us start to evolve as our mindset starts to change. Things start to change, like the environment, the community that you keep around you start to change. So what I will say is that my real friends, right? And I think this is where we start to differentiate between your friends, your associates, and people that you know. I haven't lost any of my real friends.
Gotcha.
My real friends, they're here with me. My real friends, we rock and we ride. And because I believe that if you are a real friend to somebody, right, you want the best for them. So what I want for myself, I want it for my brothers. What I want for myself, I want it for my sisters. What I want for myself, I want it for my family. So I'm able to look around my circle and people that I consider friends and family, and to be quite honest with you, none of them changed. The only people that I've realized that changed were people that I thought I put them on a different level. I put them on a different plateau, right? And time allowed me to see who is my friend, who is not. I got a friend of mine, right? My homeboy, I think I talked about him last time. I talked about my boy Stefan. We went to, we had our communion, all of that stuff, right? And, our chains got popped, right? That's still my friend today. I went years without talking to him. And the moment we linked back up, it's like nothing ever changed. Nothing ever changed. So I think ultimately, as a father, did my friendship circle change because of my son? No. It remained the same.
So I want to come from a different perspective, right? So I have a friend, right? He's no longer with us, but my brother Nard, right? Before he had Basir, right? He had a group. You got two groups of friends. He was in the streets, right? So he had the street friends, right? And then he had like us, right? Like, whereas though like we weren't in the streets, but we were there. You understand what I'm saying? And I lived a different life at that time, right? When Nard was living, and once he hung out with those guys a whole bunch, way more than he would hang with me, right? Which was okay. That's fine because you don't want to mix that street with, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to put your friends in danger. But once you would think that these were his core homies, right? Because that's what you were selling with. Once he had his son, right? You had to pick a godfather for your son. Do you pick the homies that you're around all the time? Or do you start to think a little bit different about the future of yourself and your children, right? So by him having a child, it says, hold up, even though these are supposed to be my ride or die guys, right? Now I'm thinking differently in respects to my son's future in health and well-being. If I make one of these guys the godfather, it's a good chance that my son could be caught up in some mess, right? Because that's who he's going to for help and direction. If I choose my friend Dennis, right, as to be the godfather, I know that I see how he treats his daughter, I see how he treats his kids, I see how he is as a friend. He's not in the streets. He's going in a direction that I want my child to go in, even though I'm not in that mix like that. That's the godfather of my son. You understand what I'm saying? So that just shift in thought process and perspective on, who can I lean on for my future health and wealth versus who I'm with almost every day in my life that I ride for, and I say I ride and die for. You know what I mean? So that I just wanted to come from that perspective.
I think ultimately what you're talking about is the duality, right? Of us coming from an urban environment, right? So oftentimes when we start talking about the duality, we think about the duality between being, us as black men and assimilating into white culture, right? But there is a duality within our own communities, right? Corny dads, corny, right?
Yep.
Like there you have it, right? Where you're able to see like, all right, so that's the cool dad. You know what he does? He does what he does, right? There's an image of what the cool dad does, right? And in the corny dad, we for the most part get frowned upon, right? We for the most part we out here doing anyway, right? Nah. I'm not even going to acknowledge that. But we heard it. But yeah, so so it's that duality, like, and I think that's something that in our community that we deal with. I can't speak to any other community, but in our community, we get to figure that's something that we struggle with, right?
Yeah.
Because we each and every single one of us here has somebody, a friend that you love, right? That his path is different than your path. Yep. Not to say like we ain't here to judge nobody's path, but their path is different than your path. But that's still your man. You love him. You was in the sandbox with him, and from time to time he comes by and y'all might split a cheesesteak. You feel what I'm saying? That's your brother. You love him, right? But he may be deemed cool. You may be deemed corny.
Yep.
You feel what I'm saying? So when it's time for you to start choosing godparents and kids and people that you want to surround your village, right? What is the purpose? What's your purpose? What's the mission that you're trying to accomplish, right? Right? Because the truth is, if I wanted my son to be a trap star or rapper, right? I have friends that are trap stars and rappers that I can allow. Like, you need to be in this space, but if you want something different, if your vision is something different, then you start to align yourselves with that. I just have been blessed enough to my real friends, right? My real friends, they never left me. They're right by my side because our path and our purpose aligns. That's what I consider real friends. And let's really talk about it, right? Kanye West had this track. It's called Real Friends, right?
Real Friends, yeah.
It's called Real Friends. How many of us? How many jealous? Real friends. You got trust issues? How many of us honest? I don't lie to none of my friends.
Right.
I may cap from time to time, right? But they know. But my friends know when I'm doing the most, right? And and this is just showing like the balance, right? Because it's not always everything is perfect. No, your real friends know, and I think that being a dad, it makes you very selective of who you're calling a friend.
Facts.
Because now you have somebody else that's looking at you. You're exposing your child. This is Uncle Dennis, Uncle Ace, this is Uncle Snug. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you have to be able to show your children, like, they're an example. They're watching you. They're sponges, right? And then the last thing that you said, Den, is sometimes because we have a mutual beneficial situation doesn't mean that we're friends.
That's a fact.
That's true.
It doesn't mean that we're friends.
Look at that.
You feel what I'm saying? Because our interests and our things align, right? We have a common purpose.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that you're my friend.
That's correct.
So I think, when we start talking about friendship, we start talking about friendships and we talk about mutual beneficial relationships, and we talk about associates and
there you go.
And
That's the
people
word you got
and
to.
people that I just say hi and bye to. It's a totally different ball game.
For sure.
So I got real friends.
Yeah, and I think sometimes even like we said, like we got different groups of friends too. Sometimes.
Correct.
Situational friends.
Yeah, like you might have a group of friends that do one thing, you got another group that do another, and then you got these down here, and sometimes you gotta just be able to decipher.
Core friends.
Yeah.
Core.
Yeah, you got core friends,
Of
right?
course.
And people that you're like, all right, look, these are the people that I can lean on. And I think when trying times come into play, I think it really shifts you back to who's it, right? Because so like a lot of times I got to be reminded of who is who. You understand what I'm saying? And I think one of the biggest reminders is my partner. I got to remind her that she is it, right? So we got to remember how we treat, because when the stuff hits the fan, you know, then you really delve into who's who, right? And who are you willing to pick up the phone and call, right? Whereas though you might talk to a person every single day, but when the stuff hit the fan, you ain't calling them, right? It's somebody you ain't calling in 6 weeks, right? That'll pick up the phone and say, yo, what's good? I got you. You understand what I mean? So I think situations and experiences also brings it back a shift. And I think, you know, being a father is one of those that will bring you back real quick.
And I think we spoke about this in previous episodes. Like, friends, the word friend is expendable for me. Family, you know what I mean?
Family, yeah.
Like, people that I've known, like Osna, I've known him since, sorry, I used the government. I've known him since he's small. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't on the run.
Yeah. I've known him since he was young. You know what I mean? And the collective group of my church family that I grew up with, they're my family. Like, you spoke.
Speak for yourself.
I think we shared the
No,
same.
you can speak for yourself. I just want to go on record. He's speaking for himself. He's not speaking for me.
Okay. When I say speak for my church family, they're my church family. Like, there's ones that I haven't spoken in a long time to, and we pick up, just like what you said about your man Stephon. Like, we could pick up like that. So for the most part, and I'm not gonna say for everyone in the church, but the small circle of few that, I still associate that. I figured, like, yo, you're family to me. You know what I mean? And it's important that we are very aware about who we have around our children, who we have around our wizards, because if stuff gets rough, do we really want you knowing where we live, bruh? Probably not. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I don't want you in my house without me being there.
Yeah. Yo, can I trust you around, you know, my family without me being there? You know what I'm saying? So these are all things you have to check boxes off.
Can you pick my kid up from daycare? Can you pick him up from school?
All of that.
Can I trust you with my location?
Yeah.
That's for iPhone users.
Can I share my location with you?
Them jobbyites, I tell you. But these are all questions you have to ask yourself when it comes to classifying, like, people, friends that you consider family, friends, and associates. So you have to bracket everybody off and put them in designated points, in designated areas, as you see fit.
It's a good exercise to do.
Yeah.
So, you guys know, if you guys call me, most times you can get through. But when
I can't.
No, I can't.
No, I can't.
I'm still waiting for a text response.
That's cat.
That's cat.
What I say? My friends know when I'm capping.
Y'all know y'all can always reach me.
Yeah, no. For the most part, you guys have, like, access to me.
Big facts.
Right? A lot of people don't have access to me. And I'm gonna go back to the first episode of Corny Dads that we recorded. Like, so Drake had a line, when something great happens in my life, I don't run to the blogs, I run to those that I can call or something like that, right? People don't call me unless they want something. So or when something bad has happened and they need a solution, right? So I don't live like I live offline. You guys know that. Like, I'm
For sure.
I live offline. I'm off the grid. So when it was some drama that surrounded the drop of Corny Dads, and then all of a sudden everybody calling me like, yo, you cool? Like, yeah, I was about to say the N-word. Yeah, dog, I'm good. Like, what's up? And then it was like, I had my moment of transparency with you guys. And a couple of my other brothers, like, dog, like, y'all know. Like, y'all know where my heart at. Like, this ain't nothing new to y'all, but it was just in that moment, I realized and I leaned on who I could call and who I always call. So yeah, that's what I consider real friends in those moments, because people don't have access to me, and I don't hear from people for years, and it's no love lost. Even when it comes to my kids, like, I bring them around and dog, that is your uncle, because that is my brother. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, people don't get that.
Let's switch gears real quick, right? Because in the pursuit of friendship, my heart has been broken.
Right.
Like, let's just be real, right? Like, if we're talking about friendship, some friendships, they have ebbs and flows. Real friendships are consistent. You hear what I'm saying? So for me, I think, you know, why I am so critical and I use decisive terms and I'm able to say, this is what it is, right? There's no gray area in this situation. It's either I consider consider you a real friend. So I told you, speak for yourself. I don't consider that real. I don't consider that family, right? Not the entire situation, but a large majority of the situation, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, I've been a person who's been burnt, who's been, you know, stabbed literally and figuratively, right? Right? In the name of friendship. Like, you know, it's funny because when I look at Den is probably the only person around this table who really understands the depth of my loyalty when it comes to what friendship is, right? Like, it's for real. When, you know, the mob says, you know, it's La Costa Nostra, it's La Familia, right? I'm not a mobster, but I buy into that thought. Like, if we say that we're brothers, we are brothers, and there's nothing in this world that's gonna break that bond, right? Nothing in this world is gonna break that bond. No woman comes in between us. No money comes in between us. No opportunity comes in between the situation that we have going on. No rumors. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, nah, this is what we are. And anything that comes in between that is annihilated.
Right.
We don't let nothing break this bond. This is what we are. This is who we are. We've taken an oath to ourselves. Like, shouts out to my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated.
Sigma.
You feel what I'm saying? So I'm a Sigma. So if I see another Sigma brother, we took an oath to one another. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm big on that. Like, I stand on that. If I call you my friend, it doesn't matter what's happening in the world. Rain, hail, sleet, or snow. I'm there for you. Right?
I think that's important because, like, just we don't gotta get into the situation, but that was sometimes you gotta see it, right? And we're talking about experiences and situations. Whereas though, you know, someone sacrifices because I sacrificed damn his freedom for mine. You understand what I'm saying? And I look at it now and be like, yo, that was the dumbest shit you could have ever did. Right? But at the same time, I get it at the time. And then that says to me that when I have a child, I'm like, this man will do whatever it takes for me. If I'm not here, he'll do the same for my children.
Point blank, period.
You got to know who you can trust with in certain situations. Doesn't mean that they're not your friend, but you want to be like, hey, if it all goes down, who could I turn on and lean on for support?
You know who is a good judge of character in that?
What's that?
Your lady. They can pick up on it.
Quick.
They know.
They know.
You know how many times I told you?
I told you so.
I told you so.
I told you so.
And not even in a malicious way. It's just like, dang.
Yeah.
You knew.
You didn't peep that?
Like, you knew.
You're not.
We talked about it. You understand what I'm saying? And then the ones that are in my house, the ones that can come at any time, is the ones that's like, it's not only because I say it's all good. It's she picks up on it and says,
they're good.
That intuition. And that leads back to with the children, right? So you have to be very selective with these friends that you have that are going to be around your children, right? Because you don't want them to give off that aura, like, who you think you are, whatever the case may be. Just that energy around them that be surrounding them. Because if they're not your real friends, they're not gonna have the well-being of your children like in mind. They're not gonna care. They're gonna say, forget them kids, right? They'll be like, man, come on, just kick them with me on the block. Forget them kids. Can you really consider somebody like that your real friend?
Right. I think Meek said it in one of on his album, like, yo, nobody, you know, when I got locked up, nobody picked up my son to go play ball with him. You understand what I'm saying? Like, all these people that I'm around,
nobody made sure they was good.
What? All these people I was feeding nowhere?
Right, that's crazy.
Couldn't do what? Couldn't go pick up my son one time? You understand what I'm saying? And I think that loyal people are around loyal people. Like, I've shown my loyalty when it comes to, and I just do it because, again, this goes into what we talked about in a previous episode about the influence that I've had. And I watched my father, and we talk about fraternities, Beta Psi Phi. I watched what those brothers did for our family when my dad passed. And I said, wow. Like, you need people like that around you. Like, you need the snugs around you to be like, I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I'll come from wherever I got to come from. You know, you need the Osmonds around and say, yo, what? I'm leaving where I'm at right now, and I'll take care of it. Like, you know what I mean? You don't call on them and call them for that stuff often, but when you do,
you want to lean on them.
There's been times where I got stuck at work and then picked up my kids from daycare. Right? So it's that kind of stuff. Like, yo, I'm gonna be there. I'll meet you with him in a little bit. And he like, yo, I ain't got no car seat. And I'm like, yo, it's a car seat in there because we was using one car seat at the time. But yeah, and it's like the kids be so excited, man. Like those are the moments that you forget about, but once you remember, you appreciate.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
And I mean, listen, and I spoke of the story of when I first met Dan, right? Just feeling him out, seeing who he is, and getting the confirmation that, oh, you know what, C is going to be with good people in Philly. There was a time I came down to Philly to visit C, and we got stuck. I think C had some car issues.
Nah, they pulled me over and they took my car. That's what happened.
They took my car. I was trying to.
Nah, the Philadelphia PD took my car.
You got livestock?
Huh?
You got livestock?
No, I was a black man in a car. The unfortunate part was the registration had just expired, and they took the car.
Oh yeah, that's
I don't want to leave any room for error. That's what happened.
And the crazy part is, I'm glad you got it out because I'd have bought that joint at the auction.
So it's different from a New Yorker. Before they, like in New York, in a situation like that, they'll lock you up. So we're sitting in the car, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? Tow truck comes, they tow the car. We in the middle. What part of Philly we was at that time?
We was uptown.
So I'm like, okay, where am I at? What's going on? C gets on the phone, calls Den. He's like, yo, Den, bro, we uptown. Come get us. It's like the middle of the day, but I'm pretty sure Den was probably doing something where he didn't want to leave his home.
It wasn't yoga.
I think this is definitely pre-yoga. And he came and he pulled up and picked us up. You know what I'm saying? Brought us to where we need to be. And it was like, damn, bro, this is your real friend for real. Like, he came, left his home of comfort and safety, and came uptown to get us when we were in distress. Could have called a cab. Could have hopped on the bus. Could have did all of that.
That's light work compared to what I, compared to.
But it's just.
Yeah, but I get it.
But just something that, for me, right?
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
your man.
Yeah.
Osler expected that from you. Like,
Yeah.
he knew that you were gonna do that for me. I'm like, damn, man, I don't think you're mad. Like, he cool. That's your man's. But for me, when I saw that, I was like, nah, that's your man for real, for real. You know what I mean? So just small things like that tells me a lot about the strength and the character of a friendship.
Yeah, I think Eisner was Dennis Davis for about 4 or 5 years. Like
when he was behind, behind the wheel.
You know what I mean? So in our younger days, man, like this is, and that speaks to, again, how you change over time when circumstances changes and when you experiences happen and you grow from that, right? Because back then we was like, nah, I'll do it for you, got it. But now it's like, he wouldn't allow me to do that for him now.
Yeah,
like, you understand what I'm saying? It's like, yo,
got too much to lose.
Exactly.
Got
it's
too
like,
much to lose. So you never
again, and that's how friendships evolved over time. You know what I mean?
And another way friendships evolve is when your friends begin to evolve and they start to do something different. You're intrigued and you want to know what it is. Right. So if Dennis read the 7 spiritual laws of spirituality, it's like, yo, what are you doing? No, all right, I'm gonna read it too.
Yo, let me see that. Let me see it when you're done. Give me that.
So now you're growing together. The conversations are different. So now you get that 7 spiritual laws of somebody else and they don't read it. It's like, yo, it's not for us to really talk about, or what are we talking about? Right. Because you're on a different path. Your path is evolving.
You know, I think what ultimately friendship is, right, is somebody that you admire.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be something about the person that you admire, which is why this person's your friend.
Right.
You're not my friend just because you're my friend. No, you're my friend because I admire something about you. There's something that you're doing that I really, really like, right? And I think once we're in a space where we're looking at our friends and we can be honest with ourselves, be like, yo, I admire that about him. I want to be more like that. Excuse me. How could you put me, how you put me onto this? How can I get there? What is it that I can do? And your real friend, no matter what the situation is, if it's a positive situation, whatever you deem positive is, right? They want to put you onto it. They want to put you onto it. You're not my friend if you're not putting me on to game, right? Whatever that game is, whatever that positive situation is, you're not my friend. I don't care if you call me and you say, hey, you seen this on TikTok, right? Like, or you seen this on any one of these platforms, and it's something that feeds my mind, it's something that I'm interested in, that's you helping me, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna give you $1 billion contract or that type of situation. It's somebody who consistently feeds your soul, feeds your mind, right?
Elevation.
It feeds your body because I like to cook.
Well, one thing I realize about my brothers is I love all my brothers, man. Like they make me feel something when I talk to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Like so that admiration. I couldn't pinpoint the word, but I do admire my circle of friends and my brothers, man.
Absolutely.
Like it's always something about them. I love these things about them, and hopefully, and one thing I love about my brothers too is that they watch the podcast and they ask me questions and they want to know more about therapy and they want to make sure that I'm okay and that the kids are okay and yo, what's going on with your man, and yo, you know, maybe they talk about you guys and it's like, dang, like I want to connect the dots somehow and I just got to figure out when. But I love that I love all of you guys in one form or another, and I admire you guys for one thing or another. Like it's like a sense of like satisfaction that I get from just having these relationships. And a lot of relationships I don't get that. It's either business or it's
just
something. You know what I'm saying?
It's
like
an
it's black and white.
association.
Yeah.
But it's important to not only admire but to reinforce them, right? To make them know that, listen, you're on the right path, or encourage them for elevation. If you're not doing that, if iron is not sharpening iron,
I'm gonna tell you about this guy right here. I'm gonna tell you about this guy.
Let me tell my. Okay, go ahead.
So.
Oh wait, are you gonna you?
No. I want to hear what he said because I want to make sure we not.
So I went to college late.
All right, cool.
You feel what I'm saying?
He's on the same.
I went.
There you go.
Y'all already know my straight out of high school college story, right? So I went to college late. I went to college because, you know, my partner, you know, she got pregnant with Justice and the whole nine, and I was like, you know, this is what I don't want him to have any excuses why he doesn't achieve certain goals, right? So I went to college, did the whole thing. I remember I was telling Ace, I was like, yo, listen, I think you should go to school. I think you should go to school. He was like, Ace, trust me, bro. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Go to school. Go to school. Look at him now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
My guy.
So
my guy's killing the game right now.
Just to add on to the story, like
and I love it.
I went on. I said, "I'll roll." I hit up C. I said, "Yo, C, yo, I'm rolling." Yo, he's a fat.
I'm enrolled.
Yeah. No, that's how he hit me. He was like, yo, you know, I enrolled in school today. And I don't know where I was at. I don't remember what I was doing.
He was emphatic about it.
But anybody who knows me knows how hype I get. I'm on the court, and I start clapping. Once you start hearing the clapping, you know it's on.
No, he was emphatic about it, and just to return that feeling back to him when I completed the program and I took the test. I was the only individual out of my class to complete it. And then, you know what I mean, I get on the phone with my wife, tell her, you know, I finished the program. I call C, I'm like, yo, C, I finished the program. He's like, what? I'm like, yo, son, I didn't really think I could do it. But that's what it's supposed to be. Iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's important to really, you have to always audit. They say audit your circle, right?
Audit your circle.
Audit your circle. One thing we have to understand, there's always going to be bumps and hurdles. We know that. And we've had so many disagreements, things like, nah, see, I don't think, yo, bro, all right, you know what? Cool. And he come like, yo, Ace, you know, you was kind of right on that.
Yo, you spin the block.
You spin the block.
You gotta spin the
right
block.
on that. All right, cool. But it's not a matter of just, it's a moment. And people like, yo, man, what's wrong with you? He's this, he's that, he's that. That's just who he is, man.
You gotta know who your friends are.
You gotta, if you understand who your
gotta
friends
know
is and
who
what
they
his
are.
characteristics is, they'll be like, yo, he just, he's going through that. You know what I mean? Even me and Snug, when y'all stepped out, I'm like, hey, Snug, so he's talking, he's going over, you know, people coordinate his program. I said, Snug, you love what you do? He's like, yeah, you know. And I'm digging in deep just to find out more than the surface level, Snuggy H, who's really good at basketball, allegedly, but just trying to, you know, find out who he is as a person and a program director, and just, it was like, all right, man, Snug, all right, cool. There's more layers to you. But that's when you really trying to learn someone
Yeah.
and really try to be like, yo, I want to bring you into the fold. I'm concerned about, I'm concerned about your well-being. I want to make sure you're good. It's not to pry and be, but like, yo, bro, what you said before? Are you good?
Are you good?
Like,
Are you good?
Like, not like, how
really
you
good?
Are you good?
So-
and if you're not
Really
good, let's
good.
talk about
So
it.
it goes back to what you want for yourself
It's what you want for your people.
is what you want for your people.
Yeah.
Do good by your people.
good
It
by your
doesn't
people.
Cost you nothing.
It costs you nothing just to provide information
Or
the-
opportunity.
or opportunity.
Cam just said that recently in the interview with $1 Million a Game. He said, yeah, all that noise with Mace was noise banter, but I never really asked Mace for money. He provided me with an opportunity.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Sometimes
That's
it's
money.
so teach a man how to fish, he'll eat forever, and
Yeah.
give him fish, he eat for a day.
Absolutely.
That's straight like that, man.
That. So when it comes down to it, audit your circle.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Know your people.
Yep.
And look in the future, right? At the end of the day, you have children, right? And you got to think about who you want around your children to keep the legacy going for them and for yourself. And and remember, when you pass on, you leave a legacy behind. You leave a circle behind. You leave a net worth behind, right? And they say your network is your net worth, right? So you just got to look. Just at the end of the day, just look further in the future. Audit your circle. Love one another. Take care.
For sure.
Take that.
Stay corny.
Stay corny.
That's so corny.